want to bring up a topic that is often not talked about in details in regards to family, and that is people being overbearing. You hear about people being overbearing, you hear about them being controlling, but there's no deep discussion as to why they may be that way, why people react the way they do, the outcome of it. There's really not enough attention being paid to that. And I'm going to go ahead and give you one scenario that might just hit home for some of you because it was a part of my life for a while. Let's say that you live in a household where it's very, everything is very conservative. It's very, organized and everything else. Look, the parents do the best they can to make sure that they have everything run smoothly, tight family unit. But there are some things that you might be interested in, some things that you might want to do that they may not understand, or it may be too different for them to understand. And it's not anything that you want to do that will hurt anybody at all. It's just different than what they're used to or accustomed to. And instead of receiving the support that you need, what they'll do is either gaslight you and make you think you're crazy, or compare you to another child and say, why can't you be like them because that child conformed to their model of what was perfect. Or they'll wind up doing something like sheltering you, or being very controlling because they're afraid that you're heading in the wrong direction from their picture of what they think you should be. And as I stated before, it might be something that you want to do that might not have anything to do with what they think your life should be like. Now, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen to a lot of these children. Either one or two things is going to happen. They're going to rebel. Once they rebel, what they're going to do is they're going to expose themselves to a world that is totally the opposite of what they were raised up to believe out of rebellion. Whether that world works out for them or not, some people will stay in that world, some people will leave. But they'll do that as a way of expressing themselves, so to speak. They don't want to have anything to do with their upbringing. I come across these type of people all the time. They don't want to have any type of, connection with that background at all, because for them, it wasn't a pleasant experience being brought up in it. That's one type of person. The other type of person will actually conform and do everything they were programmed to do. I mean, everything down to the letter so they can meet the expectations that are given on them. But see, here's the problem. When they get a certain age and they're in a certain position and the parent is like, okay, yeah, I love you, that's great, that's wonderful, the control does not end. See, it doesn't end at that point. See, this person is thinking, okay, once I get a certain age and I do so and so, that's it. But it doesn't end that way, because that particular parent has issues with control. So they feel that they could just keep doing it and doing it. They've already got you to do what they wanted you to do. So they figure this is going to be an ongoing thing. It gets to the point where you're like 20, 30 years old and you've already in your career, you've already got the house and the car and everything else that you were programmed to get, got the education and the whole 9 yards. But then now you want to try to settle down. You want somebody to share that with. And then what happened is you're so programmed a certain way. You're programmed in such restrictive ways that anybody who comes along, it's difficult to deal with you. It's difficult to deal with you because you are starting to display the same controlling ways that were given to you by your parent. And everybody who comes along, people that come from different backgrounds that can't approach you, people who come from, different religions, different viewpoints, anytime that they disagree with you is a problem. Anytime they do something that you don't want them to do, there's a problem. Everything's all about you. It's all about you. You got to be in control. As long as you get what you want in the end, you ain't going to say nothing. But the minute there's something that you don't get what you want, all hell breaks loose. And that was because you were conditioned to believe that. And then you turn around and you're probably at that age where you are trying to look for someone or something like that. And it's like the minute that you introduce them to mom or dad or whoever it is that controlling parent is, that parent is automatically in y'all's relationship. The minute you introduce that person to them. Before then, not much was said. And that person probably hesitated to bring them home because they knew how controlling that parent is. But the minute that parent comes into the picture, all of a sudden they know the new person's business. They know your boyfriend's business. They know your girlfriend's business. They got something to say about this. They got something to say about that. And then you as a child, you don't see anything wrong with it because you've been programmed the same damn way. Oh, well, she's just expressing the same way that I'm thinking. Well, you're thinking wrong. You're thinking wrong. And see, that's the problem. You'll never have anybody who has a strong mind to live with you. The only people, you'll find somebody. You'll find somebody with low self-esteem that doesn't mind, getting browbeaten all the time. Doesn't mind being bossed around all the time. And what do you men call them? Beta males or whatever the case may be? Okay. But they're not full-grown, spiritually sound, mentally sound, self-sufficient men. Ain't no man like that. No strong, self-made man is going to put up with that. At some point, he's going to walk out. And before he walks out, he's going to tell you what he think about you and your controlling mama, or you and your controlling daddy, or you and your controlling parents. He's going to say what he want to say before he leaves. But see, you conditioned to believe that everything that y'all got going on is absolutely perfect and wonderful, and anybody who comes along, you the prize. They don't have anything. They don't have anything to offer. They just better be thankful to be with you, because you've been programmed. That's a form of narcissism. And then you wonder why here you are, 30-something, 40-something, still going through the same outcome in the same relationships over and over again. And then you're going to be one of these women that's going to be 40, pushing 50, running around going over to the clinic trying to get artificially inseminated because nobody will come near you to make a baby. I don't have anything against artificial insemination if it's necessary. If it's necessary because there's no other medical way for you to have a child, I get that. But some of y'all women wait too long. You can't keep nobody. No man will come near you to have sex with you to have a baby. And here you are 42, 43, you're already in the danger zone as far as having children is concerned anyway, because the risk factor of a child coming in with a defect starts at 35. So you already pass into that if you're already over 40. You're running a risk. You're running the risk, and that's just biology. I'm not saying this to age bash anybody, and it's biology. Over 35, the average woman, wants to have a child, there's a slight risk factor that the child is going to come into the world with a problem. They may not, but the risk factor increases over 35. And you spent your whole single life doing what you want to do, anytime that you want to do it, and everybody who comes along had to bow down to you because you were programmed by a controlling parent, and you're exhibiting those behaviors. Now, I talked about two people here. One who had low self-esteem and went into rebellion all their life to go against whatever they were raised up with. They wind up in trouble, in and out of trouble all their lives until they finally find themselves and settle down. And then you have this other person who is the mirror image of that controlling parent, and nobody can deal with them. See, the problem is, when a lot of these parents turn around and they program their children to act and think like them, they forgot about the fact that the world and times and society is going to change. The way that you were brought up is not going to, and the society and the world and the conditions that you were brought up in is not going to be the same scenario when your child gets your age. We have a different society of people with a different mindset. I know for a fact that the same people that are walking around out here in the streets right now, these ain't the same type of people that I was raised up with. They're not. And what you have to do is you have to learn how to listen and communicate with these people. Some of them might be good, some of them might be bad. But what you can't do is you can't sit there and just shelter yourself from the rest of the world, because at some point you're going to have to deal with the public. But the problem is you were raised in such a narrow mindset, you weren't taught to accept anything different from what you have. And that spilled over into your romantic relationship. You looking for a mirror image of you, and then what happens is, let's say for instance in the Twilight Zone you do find a mirror image of you. Guess what? You're going to wind up being the one that's the underdog, because the mirror image of you is going to give you a hard time, the same way you gave everybody else a hard time. You see how that shit works? And as far as the rebellious person goes, either one or two things happen. They keep living their lives below, whatever, not having a sense of self, and continue to go on and on and on until they die, in and out of confusion and never having a sense of peace. Or, in a few rare occasions, they might be able to go out into the world and be like, they just get sick and tired of sick and tired. And those of you who don't know about that, officially sick and tired, watch my video on this channel. It's called Officially Sick and Tired. When you get officially sick and tired, that's when things are going to change. But that's what happens. So I understand the concept of loving your child, and you have these things, you see them do things and you don't want them to do it, especially once they get a certain age. You try to talk to them about it. They don't want to change their mind about it, but there are some things they're going to have to work out by themselves. You cannot get into nobody's head. I tell people that all the time. Well, I'm her mama. That don't mean shit. I'm her grandma. I raised her from the time she was born. You still can't get inside her head. You can't tell her where to walk. You can't tell her where to eat. You can't tell her when to take a shit. You can't tell her in her mind when to go to sleep. That's all in her brain. Her brain tells her when she's hungry. Her brain tells her when it's time to go to the bathroom. Her brain tells her when to go to school. And you're not in there. You have a certain amount of influence. Yes, you do. You have a certain amount of influence, but you cannot control everything 100% of the time. And for those of you that have little mini-me's walking around, guess what? There's a small percentage of them that is not exactly like you. That's why y'all clash sometimes. The same controlling parent, and you got little mini-me walking around, y'all done had a falling out quite a few times because you're too much alike. I know about that too. But the thing is, some people don't know the difference between simple care and control. They get the two mixed up. They don't know the difference between help and control. To them, all of that is the same. And this is where, family therapy and counseling comes in. Because most of the time, people like this, their communication style is piss poor, and they don't have close relationship with other family members because of their attitudes. They don't talk to their family members in a conversational tone where it's respectful. They don't listen in a respectful tone. All they do is they come in the door with ideas of how they're going to tell you what they think, make you think what they want to think, make you do what you want. It's all emotional manipulation from the jump. And that energy is off-putting. So people don't want to be around it. How many of you have had that one person in the family? Oh yeah, I'm going to the family reunion this weekend. Then the other person say, yeah, but shoot, Denise is going to be there. Denise, oh Lord, Denise. I don't like talking to Denise because every time I talk to her, she always is talking about how I need to do this and how I need to do that and how I need to do this. And Denise don't even call me half the time. Denise don't live here. Me and Denise ain't had lunch in years. But Denise always got something to say about everybody else. But see, she don't know that we know some stuff about her. Y'all keep it up. Somebody gonna call you on the carpet and break all that shit down. Because there's always somebody who knows something. So that's just somebody who confuses care and help with control. And it's not the same thing. So the best thing for you to do is once you grow up and you become an individual person, live your life. Live your life the best way you can, as positive as you can, be as productive as you can, and as helpful as you can for you. Because what's going to happen is, especially if that person's older than you, more than likely, they're going to pass on. Then what you going to do? You living for somebody else, and if that person dies, what you going to do? You going to kill yourself? Because you live for somebody else. You never lived for yourself. So what you going to do with yourself? You're going to be stuck with yourself. Just live your life the best way we can. We're all individual people, okay? And that means every single one of us has an individual purpose. And there's nothing wrong with somebody loving and caring for us, but we have to understand that we're different. Every single one of us. And whatever endeavor that, as long as it's positive and not hurting anybody and they're trying to build themselves, offer some support whether you understand the shit or not. Don't be so narrow-minded. Grow up. Just grow up. And with that, I'll go ahead and leave that alone. Hopefully this will serve somebody. And I'll talk to you guys next time.